Hey, this is Travis in the Uncanny Valley. So, one of the things that I had been really trying to figure out was my struggle in social settings, um, specifically the social skills in social settings. And I've had people say in different settings, um, I don't think you are socially awkward, or you don't seem to have this struggle or this struggle here. And it's it's been in settings that I don't consider social. And so this isn't like a just an analytical thing where I decide, well, I'm going to be comfortable with you all, and I decide I'm not going to be comfortable in these situations. So for me, one of these situations, or a few of these situations, were in group studies of the same uh, material. So it was a very intense study, and we all got together to go through this uh, program, and it was just really intense. And we were talking about very impactful, meaningful things in each of our lives. And I'm an emotional person anyway, so like I'm getting emotional. In that context, that's usually like crying, and while I'm sharing things about myself. And it's understandable that it would be confusing because I just figured it out. um, but they said, a couple people said, like, yeah, you don't seem to have any social uh, they weren't trying to, I don't think they were trying to invalidate it, they were just trying to make sense of what I was saying. And I said, well, this isn't a social setting though. Like, this isn't normal. Like, this is not what people uh do socially. Like, this isn't, I mean, this is where I'm not trying to be literal with the definition, because social just seems so broad. And I was like, well, but what is it? Like I said, this is not a normal social setting. Like, people don't normally just hang out together and share intimate details about their formative experiences. And and like, I get what you're saying, but like, for whatever reason, this just isn't a hang up for me. And it's because largely, like, this is my comfort zone. Like, talking about real, deep things that are very important to me, like religion or politics, or my formative experiences or your formative experiences, or things that are very impactful on a personal level, and that are long lasting. I mean, like, you get me in a room with people where it's like what I consider a social setting, where it's come as you want, leave as you want. Um, talk about sports or whatever. Like, I'm gonna not do well in that situation, and that's what I was really contrasting it to. And I wasn't sure. I was like, well, what's the difference there? And then there was a couple other situations, and then I was with um, a therapist, and they said, well, you seem to be interacting fine here. And I was like, yeah, but like, so as of then, the best criteria I'd come up with was like, well, so to me, for whatever reason, I don't really feel like it applies if one of us is getting paid. So if, like, we're both at work and we're talking, or we're at your work now, and we're talking, and even then it's like we're pretty much talking about me, and either of us has veto power in the conversation. We can be like, I want to take a different turn, and the other person can say, I want to take a different turn. And so that's just, again, not a normal social setting. And then there was another instance that I'm not remembering right now, but basically what I figured out was that it's structure. So any of those settings that I'm going into, like, I don't struggle when there is a known structure. So whatever the structure is, like, if I can understand that structure, I rely on that structure. I'm like, well, work, that's not a social setting because we're both on the clock. We're both getting paid, me and the coworker or whatever. And even if we're talking about our personal lives, uh, if they ask me something that's too personal, I can just say, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. I can give a response that's uh, more more blunt than if I was at a party or something. And that's just it's understandable. It's understood that, like, yeah, that is, you're right, more so at work. And so yeah, so it's at social settings, at true social gatherings where everyone is there kind of independent of the thing. I mean, like a kid's birthday party, yeah, there's some kind of different expectations of, like, well, you don't do this at a kid's birthday party or whatever, but like no one has those exact same expectations. But still, like, it's very unstructured on the social interaction side of it, where I might be talking with another kid's parent, and that's just a free for all. So like I'm gonna struggle. So like I have a couple go tos. Like I can say, like, uh, how about them whatever animals that are playing in the sport thing, huh? You know, and then or I could ask about their job, and I like to ask about people's jobs because it sometimes you see them like get excited or light up, or you can say, like, well, what about your job do you find most interesting? You can find what drives them as a person, so you can find, it's kind of like a party trick for me because it's still a struggle to go through that. But like it's kind of like my effort of like creating some little structure between me and the other person. If there's more than one other person, and that's just that's too much. I can't really handle that very well because I'm definitely the weak link in a social interaction with more than two people, and it's just so obvious. Like I can't really participate in those very well. It's a lot of effort. Like I can do it, but just not for a sustained period of time. So yeah, so that was my breakthrough for social awkwardness. Was that like the key is that it's when there's no social structure, or at least that in my head there's really not a social structure. And people could maybe suggest, like, well, just like make up one in your mind, but yeah, but then it's just mine. Like that's not uh, a shared, understood, agreed upon social structure that really provides that thing for me to lean on. Um, yeah. So yeah. You got any tips? I'll take them. Like I don't know that I'll implement them, but like I'd be up for listening to them. So put them in the comments.